Please welcome to the stage the Chief Executive Officer of Detroit Future City, Anika Goss.
Well, good morning. I am really excited to be here this morning with all of you. And thank you for having me. Thank you to Sonia and Matt for asking me to be here. I've seen so many friendly faces in the audience. This is wonderful. I have been in the housing business. My first job when I was in college as a sociology major, a sociology and African American studies major at Purdue, was working in a women's shelter in West Lafayette, in Lafayette, Indiana. And as a young woman, and I was the night manager, like who would let me manage anything at 20 is beyond me, but there I was helping women navigate a crisis housing situation. Many of them were running for their lives, and here in this rural shelter that everyone knew where it was, so there was often threats to the shelter, and part of our role was navigating women and children and where they might live in rural Indiana, in Indianapolis, in other places safely. And for me, that was really what started a career, a 35-year career in affordable housing, and understanding why this had to be the center of everyone's life. Now, I only have 10 minutes with you today, but I wanted to start with that short story because I wanted you to understand why yesterday, when the housing bill wasn't passed, that felt personal to me. So when I love the fact that we have a housing alliance because there's so many different people that are coming together. The Sherwood Tenant Association on this side, developers over here, all of our friends in finance and community development. Everyone is here, but I don't think this is a holding hands, coming together moment. Quite frankly, I think this is an old school organizing, we gotta fight until we get what we need moment in Detroit. So there are three things that I want to leave you with here today when we talk about the future of housing. And these are just my three things that I am thinking about, and I hope that you might think about as well. The first is that we can't assume that everyone has the same goal or understanding when they say affordable housing. The whole concept of affordable housing, and there used to be a time when you could say affordable housing and everybody would know we were all talking about the same thing. We are now talking about a very different family that's living in affordable housing, right? We might be now talking about a family that's making $500,000 and that needs a jumbo loan for their very large 5,000, 7,000 square foot home. We need to make that affordable for them. That's not what I'm talking about. And we need to be clear, if we are going to advance affordable housing, we need to be talking about the families that are most vulnerable, that may not be able to get finance for mortgages, where we can actually build housing to scale for multiple families to live and grow their own wealth, to advance from shelter to rental, to low-income housing, to affordable homeownership. That's what I'm talking about. And if we're not talking about that, we need to define that and be clear about that as a group, as an alliance, what exactly we're talking about. The second thing is that we have to be really clear, and we can't assume that all of the systems are working towards the same goal of financing housing and affordability. How many of you are with an insurance company? Oh, thank you for being here. That's a problem for me, right? Because if we don't believe that in the insurance companies and financial institutions aren't a part of the capital mix and directly impacting affordability in housing finance and housing development, then we are really missing the mark. Because insurance companies they are actually end up inadvertently, every time it's hurricane season right now, we have to really think about how much insurance costs are going to be affecting our ability to finance affordability. And so these are now our new best friends. We need to understand it. We need to understand what they're insuring, what they're not insuring. We need to understand our friends at financial institutions. We don't have many of them here in Detroit anymore. We are having to move further and further out to find financial institution partners to even finance our housing projects, which leaves less capital here for us to actually utilize in Detroit to finance housing. So we've got to start talking to them too. They have to be at the table and a part of the mix. And I'm really, really glad you mentioned rental housing and landlords, because at Detroit Future City, we spend a lot of time trying to provide information on landlords and data on landlords, because we have left this as a mystery to all of us in terms of a solid system for entirely too long. And that has to be something that we all work together, because half of Detroiters are living in rental housing. Half of Detroiters are living in rental housing. And we don't have a good system to manage the rental housing that people are living in. So that has to be a priority as well, and understanding how we finance it, how we regulate it, how we advocate for tenants, and how we create a business structure for landlords to be able to manage properties in a way that they can also provide quality, affordable housing. That is the system. And the final thing is, I feel like oftentimes, and this has been for years, and when I was at LISC and in the business of financing housing, we focus on the capital stack and the financial structure of the housing project as the lead for whether or not housing is available or not available, feasible or not feasible. When what we're missing is that incomes are not rising at the rate of housing cost increasing. And if incomes are not increasing, that math is never going to add up. So then the pivot has to also be, how can we increase income for Detroiters? Our poverty rate right now is 36% at the last ACS. How can you build a housing system with a 30% poverty rate? So I know I sound really negative. I only had half of my coffee today. But I do want to leave you with this. We have seen bigger housing problems before, right? All of you are old enough to have lived through the 2008 to 2010. We've all been there. So we've seen it. We've seen whole neighborhoods empty out. We've seen whole families have to stack up together in housing units. We've seen it in a crisis with no money. So I implore you, don't get comfortable now. Let's work together, every single one of us. Figure out who else needs to be at this table. How can we do this? How can we advance a housing mission to make sure that every Detroiter who is seeking affordable housing here has a possibility of living here in Detroit? Thank you for having me this morning. Have a great conference.